Hello, I'm Dillon, and for this year's Pittsburgh studio, I was a part of the Hazelwood Green project cluster. Hazelwood Green is a large development project happening in Hazelwood on an old industrial site, shown here in green. We divided it up into sites for each person in our project cluster. Mine are shown in orange on this map. My site includes lots 53, 54, and 55 of the Hazelwood Green plan, as well as part of the riverfront in what they are calling the Mill District. I was attracted to the site due to its unique opportunities and challenges as a riverfront site, as it contained one of the main access points to the river, and due to its topography. There's some steep hills on it. The ideas behind the design that I'm about to share originated from numerous visits to Hazelwood, as well as collaborations with community members, and it was at a charrette held at the Center of Life where most of these ideas got their start. We had some site photos and people gravitated to the riverfront, especially to the underpass and the railroad, which is now a part of my site. We talked to younger residents who said they had no idea the Monongahela River was so close to their home, as well as older residents who shared fond memories of a time on the riverbank fishing or watching barges being unloaded and loaded right at the end of Hazelwood Avenue, which used to continue all the way into the river. I wanted to recreate some of those memories for all generations. So we set the following design goals. 1. Provide safe and easy access between Hazelwood Avenue and the Monongahela. 2. Make the Monongahela River an amenity people will want to visit. And 3. Create restorative spaces within Hazelwood Green for use by residents and workers. This led me to the creation of this master plan, which includes a pedestrian pathway through the underpass, continuing the old route of Hazelwood Avenue, and then on the other side of the underpass, extending along the riverfront. I have divided it up into 6 sections as shown, which we will look at in detail. The first section is called Historic Restorative Parklet. This area connects my design to Lauren Taylor's idea for an artifact garden, which you can learn more about in her presentation. As such, this design continues her theme of history, as well as introducing my primary theme of the river. The site consists of a main path made of red brick, which suggests the red glow which once came from the site in its industrial past. Branching off from it are secondary gravel paths, which follow a miniature version of the route taken by the Monongahela River. These paths are thin and go through dense forest plantings, creating the illusion of wilderness, which is known to relieve stress and have other psychological benefits as well. In addition to the paths, there is also what I am calling a barge marsh, where stormwater from the site is directed. These will be planted with wetland plants and will be in roughly the shape of the barges that were once built here in Hazelwood. They will be surrounded by wooden benches, which are supported by weathering steel, creating a relaxing, resting space that fits in with the post-industrial landscape. Continuing further into the past, we reach the Longhouse Plaza. This plaza is covered by a scaffolding of lumber, the size and shape of the traditional Iroquois longhouses that likely existed on this site in the past. The scaffolding is covered with vines and hanging plants, providing an interesting partial shade to the tables below. Continuing across Blair Street, the next part of my design is the Hazelwood Avenue Promenade. This is situated at the end of Hazelwood Avenue and continues its trajectory to the Monongahela River. It has open lawn on either side, with a towering London plane tree planted in each corner. In the middle of the promenade is a planter with thornless honey locusts, lined with I-beam benches designed by Bethany, which create a sense of unity between our sites. This space is wide enough to host festivals and events without disrupting pedestrian traffic to and from the river. The curving paths that we saw the start of in the promenade continue and are amplified on the other side of Langhorne Street, in the next section of this design, which I am calling the Delta. A twisting series of paths inspired by the shape of rivers diverging and converging. This allows for large public spaces as well as smaller, calmer side paths on which to rest. This area also has parking spaces on Langhorne Street and vehicular access to the waterfront for emergencies and maintenance. Keeping this vehicular path clear also guarantees an open sight line to the underpass from Langhorne Street. This underpass was a source of fascination at the charrette, and as such, it will be in this design too, beckoning people down towards the riverfront. Its supports will be turned into a living wall covered in mosses, ferns, and other plants, lit by the strips of light that come streaming in between the railroad ties above. Beyond the underpass, we finally reach the river's edge, our next area of interest. The delta culminates in an overlook, which is part of Lauren's design, and the pinnacle of our journey so far. Below the overlook is a series of ramps, carefully graded to meet ADA requirements, which leads down to the river itself. This ramp leads to an accessible kayak launch, as well as a small beach where kayaks can be stored on racks. From here, anyone can paddle up and down the Monongahela River between my site as well as Lauren's and Bethany's. The hill on the river's edge is now a restored riparian forest with sycamores and various other riparian trees. And within the river itself, semi-porous fencing is used to slow the flow of the water, allowing sediments to drop out and collect, forming a new wetland habitat. These changes will make this portion of the river a more ecologically active place, as well as a more pleasant place to visit and to kayak. Above the river's edge is a new hillside playground, one of the other amenities that draw people to the Monongahela. Making use of the topography, which is one of the reasons that I was interested in the site in the first place. This playground is built on the hill below the new rails trail, which connect my site to all the others. This playground includes nets, ropes, ladders, and bouldering walls to get up the hill to the rails trails, as well as slides, firemen's poles, and open hills to roll back down to the other path which I've designed. This other path at the bottom is a winding path, which uses planting to mimic the natural topography that forms along rivers' edges. Steep slopes on the outside of curves are represented by tall plantings such as trees, and the gentler slopes which form on the inside of a bend in the river is represented by grass and shorter plantings. The last section of my design is a plaza and amphitheater. Past this point, I connect with Bethany's design, which you can learn more about in her presentation. A part of her design includes a community center in the old pump house, which can use this amphitheater for events or performances, with the Monongahela as a beautiful backdrop behind the stage. Overlooking the amphitheater and hillside playground is a treed plaza planted with honey locusts. This is built directly adjacent to the rail-to-trail that connects all of our sites, providing a cool, shaded resting spot for pedestrians, with plenty of visual interest thanks to the amphitheater, the hillside playground, the river itself, and the trail. In addition, the retaining wall that creates a flat spot for this plaza is incorporated into the hillside playground as a bouldering wall, making this an ideal and comfortable space for parents to supervise their children. That concludes our journey through my design site, designed to achieve these goals. I would like to thank our community partners, as well as the residents of Hazelwood for all their help, and if you would like any further information, it'll be available on our website. Thank you.